Hello, my name is Jonathan Carbone. I'll be giving a speech on hurricanes today. My audience right over here. Uh, this speech is intended to inform the audience about the meaning of a hurricane, how it will form, which entails many different things, many factors, and finally precautions that need to be taken if you are aware that a hurricane is coming to an area near you, or if you need to help somebody out. Have any of you ever wondered what hurricanes are and how they are formed? Considering they are have destroyed many parts of our country lately in the last couple of months, the last two biggest storms. A lot of our country's coastal areas have suffered horrific damages due to these storms. That includes flooding, water flooding that's happened to these areas, wind damage to homes, vehicles, and this has changed many people's lives. In my research, I've found that it is a very interesting and lengthy process, the forming of these hurricanes. However, once it is formed, that's not half the battle. Dealing with them in a very short amount of time is the hardest part, considering they're so strong, deadly, and can do a lot of damage. To become more familiar with hurricanes and its history, I'll cover three main topics: how hurricanes form and all the categories that it entails, how hurricanes have affected the United States lately. Like I said, there's been two main storms in the last couple months, and what precautions we can take. Hurricanes or tropical cyclones are powerful storms that develop under very specific circumstances. This can be classified upon severity, and it can only occur if all the factors are there. These factors are required to make a hurricane. If one of these is not present, then it's not a hurricane. It might be a very bad thunderstorm or lead to a tornado, but without these factors, it won't be a hurricane. As you see with the visual aid I have here, there's many factors. It takes warm water, warm ocean water, right around 80 degrees at least, that provides energy for the hurricane and causes more evaporation, making the air humid. Then the winds coming together above the water come together. The winds travel upward and they flow outward above the storm, allowing the air below to rise. So it pulls everything up. Then humid air rising makes the clouds of the storm. So you get the clouds here, the wind comes up and out. And finally, light winds from the outside basically feed the hurricane and keep the air going. There's that. Like I said, this depends on the low pressure areas, warm water, and the low stability. And like I said, without all these factors, it's not a hurricane. Classify hurricanes. Hurricanes require speed. 74 miles an hour is the lightest the wind can be for it to be a hurricane. And there's 5 wind categories, numbered 1 to 5, with the smallest being 74 miles an hour and the biggest being 154 plus. So it's 154 miles an hour or higher, it's a category 5 wind hurricane. These storms can only occur in certain areas. The water must be 80 degrees, like I said before from the visual aid, and the water needs to be at least 150 foot deep in order to get the humidity and for the winds to create that part of the storm. And also you need a moist and warm atmosphere. Like I said, once the warm air rises, mixes together, that's what causes your hurricane. On to the second part. Unfortunately, the U.S. has been struck with 2 major hurricanes over the past 2 months, Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma. Hurricane Harvey destructed a lot of Texas, mostly South Texas, in August of 2017. This was the costliest natural disaster in United States history, and it's caused approximately $190 billion. And it was the first major hurricane in Texas for 56 years. Also, As for rain, this caused 51.9 inches of rain. This was 1 inch shorter than the U.S. record by a hurricane. And 132-mile-an-hour winds were recorded during this storm, making it in the range for a hurricane. The second hurricane was Hurricane Irma. It destroyed much of Florida, Caribbeans, and the islands out there. Like I said, most of it was Florida, but it took out a lot of islands. It was approximately $121 billion worth of damage, and 6,300,000 people were ordered to evacuate the state of Florida. Winds were up to 185 miles an hour, making it a lot bigger hurricane than the Texas hurricane, but this lasted for Category 5 hurricane for 3 days. It was the longest Category 5 hurricane in United States history. Both hurricanes made history with their massive destructions. They caused a lot of flood damage, tore families apart, took homes down, ruined cars. A lot of public areas were ruined. It'll take a lot of rebuilding to fix this. To recap, Hurricane Harvey was a Category 4, Irma was a Category 5, and this was the most documented Category 4 or 5 hurricane in Atlantic Ocean history. And this is the first time in 66 years that 2 Atlantic hurricanes, a Category 4 and a Category 5, occurred in the U.S. in the same year. So these storms are getting worse, as the statistics say. Many lives were lost during these hurricanes due to people not having a plan. It's very important you have an evacuation plan. You know where to go, and just being prepared. Having, like I said, food, shelter, and some first aid supplies. And in conclusion, really just make sure you're aware of what hurricanes are, and for safety, make sure you follow evacuations. If your area is telling you to evacuate, make an educated decision and evacuate if you have to. With this speech, I hope everybody knows more about hurricanes now, and you're more educated about what can happen and what you need to have to survive them. Thank you.